$50. So first of all, let's get through and let's intro some of these sharks. Our first bat and leadoff here is Mr. Dan Hudson, the Chief Strategy Officer of Human Good, based out of California. 18 communities, 5 states, a number of affordable housing communities, a proud UCLA grad. Next up, from Des Moines, this is Trish Kello from Lifespace Communities based out of Des Moines. She is the Director of Talent Acquisition, Lifespace, 12 communities, 7 states. Next up, Jonathan Cook. He is the President and CEO of Lifespire Virginia. They have 4 communities and growing in that state and a ton of experience in this industry. Last but certainly not least, Mr. Sean Kelly, the President and CEO of the Kendall Corporation, based out of the Philly area. They have 13 communities, 8 states, and he's been in this for quite some time. So these guys really know what they're talking about, know their stuff. Let's introduce this first presenter. This is a team of staff and residents from LaSalle Village, a senior living community in Newton, Massachusetts, as well as a local college there. They are here to present an innovative idea and product called SmartStep. SmartStep Shoe Mobility. They actually won the LeadingAge Hackfest this year, so we're excited to have them. And team, please go ahead and take the stage.
Good afternoon, sharks and audience. We're very happy to be here. My name is Zach Davenport, and I'm here to represent Team LaSalle Village, the creator of what we like to call SmartStep. So the idea first came about at the LeadingAge Hackfest, which took place over the summer, and we very early on recognized the issue of mobility and falling. Historically, that is accounted for over $31 billion every single year in medical expenses, and that figure is only going to keep on rising. They're predicting that figure could get as high as $100 billion by 2030. So this is a big problem and a big market as well. In addition to that, one of our own team members had some experience with falling. So this hackathon brought us together as a team of engineering students and architecture students, as well as the fantastic residents that I just told you about from LaSalle Village and a staff member from LaSalle Village. So together we worked throughout that day to prototype what we called SmartStep. We saw all these sensors that we could use, and we thought, what if we embedded these into a shoe that would allow the shoe to detect obstacles in real time as a person is walking? So the way we're doing that is on the front of our shoe here, we have a little ultrasonic sensor. I'm actually going to bring it up to demo. And it sort of works just like sonar, in bats, how they communicate and find locations. This emits a very high frequency sound wave that can bounce off of objects, and then whenever it returns back and it gets that pulse, it can detect whether or not there is an obstacle there and how far away it is. So there's a small computer embedded in the shoe that actually listens to the sensor, and whenever the sensor detects an obstacle, it tells the shoe sole to vibrate. So if I put my hand right here, you can see that light come on. Go ahead and stick your hand. You feel it? There you go. Yeah, you can pass that around if you'd like. Yeah. Yes, it does. Thank you. So this is the prototype that we have now, and there's a lot more we can do with this. Right now, this sensor's kind of big and kind of intrusive, and we're currently looking at ways around that. We're trying to develop our technology a little bit further and make this small, discreet, something that somebody would actually want to wear and be able to afford. We're also looking at adding new technology and capabilities for this. We've written an algorithm that can detect when a person is shuffling, how high they're lifting their foot, and then it can also vibrate your sole whenever it detects that you're not lifting your foot high enough. In addition to that, we recognized the potential for fall detection. So if a user does actually fall, the sensors on board could recognize that and likely connect with the person's phone to alert help. So a whole bunch of technologies can be combined into this one little shoe, and that's the direction that we're moving in, and that's where we need the help of others, guidance, resource, and funding to make sure that we can actually pull something like this off. So that's the direction that we are heading in, and we are really excited about the potential that we believe this technology can have. And this technology can extend well beyond the field of aging and mobility in older adults as well. This has applications for people with vision impairment, or even people coming out of physical therapy who are relearning how to walk. Right now we're focusing on the aging market because that's the context that this all started in, and that's the context that we believe really is a huge marketplace to start with. So if you have any questions about any of this, I'd be happy to talk about this.
I have am I mic'd up, ready to go?
Yes, go ahead, Zach. Excellent job. You have the gentleman.
Very good job, Zach.
Thank you.
As the only female on the panel, I hope you gentlemen don't mind that I get to go first. Okay. That means that since I get to talk to you first, when and if you're ready for a job, you get to look at me first for hiring.
Oh, great.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, have you thought about having anybody wear these around New Orleans, especially when they're going up and down Bourbon Street with, there's some places that they might fall.
Yeah. We were actually...
And they might be able to track where they are and what's going on, because we all
point.
know that Dave Dunn might get lost at, 11:30 at night. So just check it.
Being able to incorporate a GPS into this as well is a really cool idea. We're not quite at the point where people can wear this around right now, because if you put your foot in this right now, you might damage the computer. So this is purely a demonstrational prototype, but we believe that with the right amount of funding and research, we can get this to where you could walk around on this. We have done some testing where we've put in the sensor and the vibration unit with the computer detached from the phone, and actually done some testing to determine how easy it is for somebody to stop whenever they feel that vibration, and we've had some pretty good results with that. But we definitely do want to do more user testing in that regard.
And where do you go to school?
I go to school at Olin College of Engineering, which is in Needham, Massachusetts.
Okay. Do you like Des Moines, Iowa? Because
Sure. I've never been to Des Moines, Iowa, but I'm sure it's beautiful.
it's gorgeous.
All right.
I just thought I would check to see, because we can talk later.
Let's talk later.
Okay.
So, I'm sure you've considered this. Obviously, Nike, Adidas, Reebok, all the other, all the big shoe companies, I'm sure, have a lot of resources for doing this kind of thing. What do you think are the barriers to entry among competitors as you explore building and scaling this?
Yeah. So right now, some of the barriers to entry, at least in our current phase, would be the actual size of the technological components and also the cost. I could see that being something that they're very concerned about. And this would probably take a long time to actually get to the point where we could develop this at a point where we could fully release it to the consumers, at least on our own. In that regard, I think partnering with a big name shoe company like that would be really helpful for us. But obstacles with that are definitely the cost of the components that we have on board right now, and just making sure that they are down at a small enough size to actually be usable.
Hey Zach, I have a soft spot for working with because of how deeply integrated I know the college and the staff and the residents are in terms of how they work together, how they live together, and so forth. I'm curious to know where you are in sort of the prototype development stage. I mean,
Sure.
You've got something you can hand us. How close are you to having something that few people could actually walk around with and develop some feedback on, and then begin sort of that research baseline that I think can really help understand if it wants to get legs?
That's a great question. So let me tell you where we've come from, first of all, and then I'll move into where we're going with that. At the end of the hackathon, there were wires coming out of this thing. The computer was totally over here, and what we have now is everything in a self-contained unit. So it's in a self-contained unit, but you probably would have a hard time squeezing a foot in here. We think that if we can get a shoe that has a little bit more depth to the sole, we can embed the computer and the components a little bit deeper in there so it's actually safe to walk on them. And that's just the next prototype away. That's something that we have on our radar for what we want to experiment with very next iteration. And so I think we're pretty close. That being said, I'm a full-time college student. My partner here is full-time college students, but this has become a really big project for us. We've devoted a lot of time to it, and we're going to continue to commit that time.
First off, having college students interested in the senior housing field just excites me, so thank you. I am a little curious, where do you see the target price point for this product? And who is your target market? Are you going to go after the therapy companies, the communities, or are you going to try to market directly to the consumer, as in the resident or the family?
I think that's a very good question. Ultimately, at the very end of it all, I think we'd love to be able to market it to the consumers, but I don't think that's the most logical first step. I think a very logical first step is getting this with some people who are directly connected in the field of aging, who can help us further explore where we can take this. And then once we've proven the validity of that, then maybe we can release this to the mass markets. As for price point, I would really love if we could make this so where it doesn't cost you more than like a high-end pair of New Balance shoes. So if we can partner with a shoe company that is focused on getting costs down, I think we can get these sensors for quite a bit cheaper if we order them from the right places and maybe look at distributors who can help us scale the size down. I think we can get them to a really low price point, and I feel confident that we could get all the technological components alone under $50.
Okay.
He wants to comment. Honey, sweet, can he get a mic?
Say that again. Oh, hold on.
Otherwise, I'll come up and he can talk.
All I want to say is that sensor on the front right there is $3.
Yeah, this sensor is $3. You're also seeing in here a vibration motor and a little onboard computer. We also want to attach an accelerometer and a gyroscope, maybe a GPS, so that we can do all those other features that you're talking about. So that alone, we could probably get all that for under $50 right now, and as the size of these sensors gets smaller, we expect the price might go up. That's one concern, but we're still pretty sure that hopefully eventually we can get this under $50 for the technological side.
Is there any last quick follow-ups? Then we'll have some final evaluations. Mr. Hudson, please.
Yeah, sensitivity. Obviously, when you talk about obstacles, there are a lot of different kinds of obstacles, some of them very subtle, change in grade, change from surface to carpet. I'm just wondering, what can you tell us about the sensitivity of detection?
So one great thing about this sensor is that it has a range of up to, I think it's like 2 meters. So what we can actually do is we can write a system that can sort of detect what sort of readings it's getting and then calibrate itself so that it's getting those appropriate readings based on the surface that you're on. That's going to require a little bit of work and research and development, but I believe it is something that we can do, and we have a lot more testing to do to make sure that we get those thresholds just right. But as it stands right now, it's very easily configurable. I could make this detect an obstacle all the way out here if I want.
One last follow-up, then we'll do final evaluations.
Zach, could you talk a little bit about, you guys are up in the greater Boston area. To me, the value of this thing is related to the individual for sure, potentially. But it has a bigger application, maybe, is what you alluded to, right? You could be changing the numbers of times that people fall in general. That's a population health issue, and what I'm curious about is whether or not you have any relationships or have thought about any relationship with research that could help you understand what your real outcomes might be using a technology like this versus what they would be without it.
That's a great point.
If you can make that statement, if you can make that correlation work, you may really have something, and the price points won't be as much.
That's a great idea.
A quick point on that. Boston is known for having tons of colleges and research institutions in that area. We're students at Olin College, which is an engineering-focused college, and I'm sure we can get them more involved. And also, LaSalle Village is right by LaSalle College. They've also expressed some interest in helping us out with research and development in this. So we have tons of resources that we're looking at right now, and more I'm sure that we can pursue.
Excellent job, excellent job. So a reminder, here's how this works. Thank you, Zach. So we're going to have final evaluations here. Each of these sharks is going to award this idea anywhere from up to $50, $1 to $50. Again, the audience is also going to be a judge and award it up to $50. So this team has a chance to win $250. You'll notice some paddles that are on the seats there. After we hear the final thoughts from the judges and their evaluation, then we'll do a poll of the audience here to see what they think this idea is worth. So we will start with the sharks here. Mr. Hudson, what does this idea worth?
I think this idea has incredible merit. and I appreciate your attention to our market, to appreciate the enthusiasm. Obviously, my big concern about this, if I were to look to invest, is your ability to create barriers to enter the market by very well-established footwear companies who I'm certain are also exploring these kinds of things. So one thing you might want to look at very early on is some kind of strategic partnership with a well-established footwear company.
That's a great idea.
1 to 50, what do you say?
Based on the potential, I'll go ahead and I'll give it 50.
There we go. We're off to a start here. Next up is Keller from LifeSpace.
That's right. So first of all, Zach, which one of us are you reaching out to again? Do you remember? It's not.
You said it first. I have to give it to you.
Thank you. So one of the things, I do have one little question. What was your experience working with the seniors? Did you enjoy that?
It was fantastic. Coming into this hackathon, I had absolutely no idea who we were going to get paired with, and we were thinking, this is going to be an interesting experience. It's nothing like we'd ever done anything like this before. But the residents that we work with have just been amazing. They have taken classes at LaSalle Village and LaSalle College. That's the whole concept behind LaSalle Village, is continuing their education at their older age. So these guys are sharp as a tack. They've been fantastic in advising us on right ways to go. They've got tons of experience in their own lives. They've been fantastic.
Well, first of all, I would have awarded you $50 anyway, but I think you've got a lot of talent, and I'm excited to continue to follow you because I think you're going to be somebody that's going to continually develop and engineer different things. I would love for it to stay within senior living if possible, because we want those fresh ideas, especially coming from somebody with such talent as yourself.
Thank you so much.
$50 all the way, young man.
Excellent job. Mr. Cook, your thoughts, and what do you think this is worth?
The innovation's great. The collaboration with residents. I think a lot of times people fail because they don't get the direct input from our seniors because they don't value their thoughts and their input. So I think that's to be commended. I think you should look at partnering with some insurance companies, CMS. Some of those folks that actually pay when folks are admitted to our skilled buildings might give you some grants. And I think the strategic partnership idea is extremely valuable as well. But great energy, great enthusiasm. Glad to have you at LeadingAge, $50.
Love it. Those are some great ideas, actually. That's what this is all about. Last, Mr. Kelly.
Zach, your guts to come up here and do this, the importance of the work that you're chasing, the fact that you are who you are, young as you are, thinking about this as important work to me makes $50 all day long seem like a bright idea. And I admire you clearly care about what you are doing here, and so does the team of people that you brought. And the fact that you've got folks from LaSalle who are supporting you makes it that much more exciting. Congratulations, and it's the easiest $50 to offer to anybody. So thank you.
Awesome job. Last but not least, we have the audience here. Need to make a clean sweep. You have the paddles in front of you. If everyone grabs one, let's start it. If you think this idea is worth $30, raise your paddle. Let's go 40. Oh, okay, maybe I should have. You're picking between these, so 30 and only 30, and I'll go up from there. Let's go 40, 50. There we go. That is a clean sweep, Zach. Congratulations. That is a brilliant job. Thank you for coming
Zach,
out.
congratulations.
Thank you all.
Good job.
Great job.
Again, we'll be here. There are a number of these presentations that are happening throughout the day on the half hour. So we've got another one coming up here in about 10 minutes. Please come on back, invite some friends, and we'll look